Hey guys, it's David from theunlocker.com. Today we're going to do a quick review of the Google Nexus 1. You can also head over to our site, theunlocker.com, spelled the unlock and the letter R.com, for full specifications and some photos of the phone as well. Okay, so first off, we'll start with the hardware of the device. We have a 3.7-inch AM OLED screen with a 480 by 800 resolution. It's got multi-touch support. It's capacitive. We got 4 touch-sensitive buttons along the bottom. We got back, menu, home, and search. Again, these aren't real buttons, they're touch-sensitive. And then we also have a trackball. On the back, we have a 5-megapixel camera with an LED flash. The camera also has smile detection and geotagging. We have here Google's logo, this being a Google device. We'll get into why that's important later on. And then here on the top, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack and the power button. On the bottom, a micro USB port. And then the casing itself is kind of a brushed metal that wraps around the front of the device, on the bottom, along here on the sides, and then a strip along the back. The rest of the device is a Teflon-coated plastic. Internally, the phone has a Snapdragon 1 GHz processor, 512 megabytes of RAM. It supports HSDPA 7.2 megabytes, 3G, has a digital compass, an accelerometer, GPS, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi. Okay, now we'll talk about the software of the device. It's an Android device, so like a lot of other Android devices, it's running Android. The difference is what version of Android that it's running. Unlike most Android phones that are running Android 1.6 and the Droid that's running 2.0 essentially, the Nexus is running Google's latest Android version, which is 2.1. Some of the differences between 2.1 and other versions of Android are a new menu button. You can see it here. Normally you used to pull up to bring up your menu. Now you just tap on it to bring up your list of apps. Has the cool 3D effect where it goes in and out. And you can scroll like that. Another difference is that we have 5 home screens instead of the usual 3. You can navigate through them by swiping like I did, or you can hold down on the dots at the bottom right and left of the screen and tap a window you want to get to. Another thing you'll notice is the background is moving. In Android 2.1, this is called a live wallpaper. It not only is a move, but you can also interact with it to get it to do other things as well. The Nexus 1 comes preloaded with a bunch of them. You can get to them by tapping menu, wallpaper, and you'll see live wallpapers. You can also use regular wallpapers, so you don't have to use a live one if you don't want. Here's some of the ones that are preloaded. Also now, the third parties are creating these live wallpapers, and you can find them in the market by searching for live wallpaper. Some of them include, like this one, and say this one is really popular. Double tap to go faster. Another cool feature of 2.1 is the contacts. Now they automatically sync with Facebook natively. You don't have to download a third-party app to do that. As soon as you set up your Facebook account in the setup process, it will automatically try to link any of your friends to any of your friends in Facebook and put their pictures in automatically. Another thing Google added to Android 2.1 is this widget here, which is your news and weather widget. So it'll automatically display the news RSS feeds that you choose and also your weather on the home page, but you can also click on it to get into this. Kind of shows you your weather forecast, what it's going to be later on in the day. Also what it's going to be across the week. And then you can also swipe to go into different categories. Now these are categories that you have selected yourself. You'll see the ones that I've chosen. Or they have some preset ones like, top news, news in the US, entertainment, sports, whatever. But I prefer setting up my own through here, and then it'll automatically search Google News for any news articles that contain those keywords, which is kind of cool. Okay, one last feature that Google added into Android 2.1 is the voice to text. So in any text box, anything that brings up the regular Android keyboard, you can click the voice button right here and talk your selection, and it will attempt to turn it into text. So let's try it. Hello, this is a test. Okay, so it's got to connect to the internet in order to do this, so you do have to have a data connection of some sort. And there you go. Hello, this is a test. Okay, so in this video I'm not going to get into the basics of Android. Most of you by now already know how Android works. And if you've seen any other Android phone, the experience is going to be the same. The features are going to be pretty much the same, besides what I've already mentioned. There are a few things about this phone, though, that I want to point out that make it kind of unique and kind of special. One is the screen. Now, there are a few other phones that do have AMOLED screens. This is a nice one, though. 3.7 inches makes it large enough that you can see most things that you need to. The AMOLED does make all the colors much brighter and crisper than, say, on an LCD screen. So that's one. Two would have to be the processor. It's got a 1 gigahertz processor, which is pretty much the fastest processor in a production phone that's readily available at the moment. What does that mean? Well, it means that things just don't slow down. I mean, you can do what you need to do. And things can move pretty smoothly. Even tapping things. Alright, it's not too bad. Do things like watch videos. Without any stutter. Okay, another benefit of the Nexus One is the fact that it is a Google branded device. Now what that means exactly is that it is sanctioned and sold by Google themselves. So there's no bloatware, there's no, carrier applications, carrier restrictions, there's no manufacturer restrictions or user interfaces or applications that you don't want. It's all Android by itself. That's pretty much it. So that means when things go wrong, for example, there was an issue with the radio losing 3G coverage on T-Mobile's network. Within 2 weeks, Google came out with an update. You downloaded it over the air. You didn't even have to, wait to download it from your carrier, from your manufacturer, go to their website, nothing. Just came, that's it. Now, also in the future, when new versions of Android come out, I would assume that this is going to work the same way. Android 2.2 or 2.5 or whatever the next version may be. When that comes out, you're probably going to be one of the first people to get it. Unlike if you got the update and you had a G1 or an HTC Hero, for example, that update comes from Google and goes directly to the Nexus One, as opposed to those other phones, it would go to the carrier or to the manufacturer. Then that carrier or manufacturer has to add in their own tweaks to it, their own UIs, their own whatever they want to put in there, and then they release it on their schedule. Okay, the last thing I want to mention about the Nexus One is that, like all Android phones, you can alter the operating system since it is open source. You need to root your phone first. There's always usually a procedure to do that. We have them on our site at theunlocker.com. But then once you do that, you can change things. You can add Wi-Fi tethering. You can change the theme, overclock it, add more RAM via swap, and a bunch of other really technical things that end up being really cool. So I'll show you a demonstration of that. So now we have a custom ROM. We have the Desire ROM from the new HTC Desire. So we now have HTC Sense UI on top of our Nexus One. So again, there you go. That's our quick review of the Nexus One.